For this video, we will be adding and subtracting rational expressions with the same denominator. So next time we'll do opposite denominators, but for now, let's just talk about when it's the same denominator. Ooh. Okay. So, this is going to be very similar to just adding rational numbers, right? Adding fractions. So if you have two rational expressions, P over R plus Q over R, notice the way that we add fractions is you add the top and just put it over the bottom, right? So if you think about it, 1/5 plus 2/5 is 3/5, right? 1 plus 2 over 5. So if you wrote it out, we would say to add rational expressions, we add the numerators and place the sum over the denominator. And then after this, make sure that we can factor and simplify. So once we get this, we always need to make sure, have we simplified everything? Sometimes we're going to need to do that. All right, so let's add these two. So we can see that to add these, you just add the top. So 2x minus 1 plus x plus 4 over 3. So since there's just ones in front, nothing changes. We can just drop these parentheses. So we get 2x minus 1 plus x plus 4 over 3. So we can see that there is a 2x and an x. So to combine those, we get 3x. And then there is a 1 and a negative 1 and a 4. So when we add those two together, we get positive 3. So now we got a factor. So is there anything in common with the top? Well, yeah, we see that there's a 3 in common with the top. So if we take out a 3, we're left with x plus 1 over 3. So now we have multiplication on the top and on the bottom, right? So now we can divide out that 3 to get a final answer of x plus 1. Now, again, remember, you cannot just simplify this to 3x plus 1 over 1, right? Because there is an addition sign. Remember, you can only simplify when you have multiplication, not addition. So this was multiplying, so you factored out the 3, you ended up with x plus 1. You can't just take out the 3 from one of the terms. It has to be the whole terms, or the whole thing. Good. All right, let's do another one. So we have the same denominator, so we're all good. So all we need to do is add the top. Since all of this is 1 in front, right? Nothing changes, so we can move take out the parentheses, and we're just going to rearrange some stuff to make it look a little prettier. All right, so now we got a factor. So we can see that the bottom is a difference of squares, right? So the bottom is just going to be x plus 3, x minus 3. For the top, what two numbers multiplied gets you positive 9, adds gets you negative 6. Hopefully you see that that's negative 3 and negative 3, right? Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6. So x minus 3 on the top, x minus 3 on the bottom, those cancel. And you are left with x minus 3 over x plus 3. That's the final answer. All right, let's look at some subtraction problems. So subtraction is the exact same, right? If you have the same denominator, you just subtract the top and put it over the denominator. So specifically when it comes to subtraction for this, right? When we subtract, the way to do it is subtract the numerators by switching the signs of the second term. The second expression, right? This q, since you're being subtracted, if it's, for instance, minus x plus 1 over 3, right? So if it was like x over 3 minus x plus 1 over 3, you're going to need to subtract this by switching the sign. So it'll be minus x minus 1. And we'll show in the next example maybe why we do that. And of course, everything is over that common denominator. And of course, always factor and simplify. All right. Part A. So we have the same denominator, so we can just subtract. So 5x plus 1 minus 4x minus 2 over x squared minus 9. So this is kind of why I was doing the parentheses with the addition. In this case, it's negative 1, right? We have a negative 1 out front. So another way to think about it is we can distribute this negative 1 to both things, right? So 5x plus 1 minus 4x plus 2 over x squared minus 9. So that's another way we can think about it, right? So either just flip the signs, so it's minus 4x and plus 2, or have it negative 1 and just distribute that negative. Both things means the exact same thing. All right. If we combine the x's, we see 5x minus 4x is positive x. If we combine the numbers, we get 1 plus 2, which is 3, over x squared minus 9. So now we got to simplify. X plus 3 can't simplify anymore, so let's look at the bottom. X squared, probably there's going to be something to simplify. And as we see, right, we get that's the same as x squared minus 3 squared. So difference of squares, we see that it's going to be x minus 3, x plus 3. So we get an x plus 3 on the top and an x plus 3 on the bottom. So the question is, what's left in the top? So it's not 0 because we are dividing, right? Remember, if you have, for instance, 3 over 3, and you cancel that, right? What are you left with? It's just 1. So there's a 1 in the top. So our final answer is 1 over x minus 3. All right, let's do this one. So same denominators, so we can subtract. So 3x squared plus 4x, and then we need to switch the signs, right, of our numbers. So it's going to be minus 11x plus 4 over x minus 1. Switching the signs. So we can combine things. We get x squared minus 7x plus 4 over x minus 1. All right, so we got to factor 3x squared minus 7x plus 4. So the question is, oh, we can do it in a different color maybe. So 3x squared minus 7x plus 4. So what two numbers multiplied gets you 3 times 4, which is 12, and adds gets you negative 7. Well, that's going to be negative 3 and negative 4, right? So 3x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 4. Group them up. Remember to include the negative when you're grouping things, right? So you can take out a 3x, and we're left with x minus 1. We can take out a negative 4, and we're left with x minus 1. From these two groups, we see we have x minus 1 in common. And we're left with 3x minus 4. So we know that we can simplify this on the top with x minus 1 and 3x minus 4. So we can cancel x minus 1, and we see we are left with 3x minus 4. That's our final answer. Let's look at another one. Okay, so we have the same denominator, so we can just subtract the numerators. So we got 20y squared plus 5y plus 1. Then we need to make sure to change the signs of the second one. So minus, plus, plus. So we got minus 8y squared plus 12y plus 5. Combining the y squares, we see we're going to get positive 12y squared. Combining the y's, we see that we get 17y And combining the numbers, we see we get 6. All right, so now we're going to have to factor out both of them. So, this is going to be fun. 12y squared plus 17y plus 6. So what two numbers multiplied? So we multiply these two. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1. So 72. What two numbers multiplied gets you 72. Adds gets you 17. So what multiplies to 72? Hopefully you know that that's 9 and 8. And when you actually add these two together, you get 17. So it might take you a little while to figure that out, but you'll get it. I believe in you. So we got 12y squared plus 9y plus 8y plus 6. So grouping them up, in the first term we can take out a 3y and we're left with 4y plus 3. In the second term we can take out a 2 and we're left with 4y plus 3. So between these two terms we see what's in common is 4y plus 3 and what is left over is 3y plus 2. So when we simplify this, we see the top is 3y plus 2 and 4y plus 3. So just doesn't matter what order you put it in, as long as you put them together. All right, let's do the second one. So the second one has 3y squared plus y minus 2. So what two numbers multiplied gets you negative 12 and adds gets you 1. Hopefully we can see that that's negative 3 and positive 4. So rewriting it, we get 6y squared minus 3y plus 4y minus 2. So grouping up the first terms and the last two terms. For the first group, we see that we can take out a 3y and we're left with 2y minus 1. For the second term, we can take out a 2 and we're left with 2y minus 1, which is good because that means that both of these terms have a 2y minus 1. Uh-oh. Oh, my pen stopped working, so... Oh, there it goes. Perfect. Okay. I was drawing with my finger. All right, so we can take out a 2y minus 1, and what is left is 3y plus 2. So on the top, 2y minus 1, 3y plus 2. So we can see what's in common with the top and the bottom is the 3y plus 2. So we can take both of those out, which means that what we're left with is 4y plus 3 over 2y minus 1. And that's as simplified as we can go. All right. Now, what if we have similar denominators, but it's the opposite on the bottom? So it would be like x minus 3 on the bottom, and the other one is 3 minus x. So when one of the denominators is the opposite of the other, first multiply one of the expressions by negative 1 over negative 1. And then add or subtract. So the first thing you should do is multiply one of the expressions by negative 1 over negative 1. And if you just want to do the second one, just make the second one always the one that you do things to. That's totally fine. All right. So we don't have the same denominator, but it's pretty close, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the second term by negative 1 over negative 1. So the first term doesn't change. That's still x squared over x minus 5 plus, and now we're just going to distribute that negative 1 to the top. So we got negative 4x minus 5 over, and we distribute that negative 1 to both of them as well. So negative 5 plus x. And if you want, you can flip the bottom around so you get x squared over x minus 5 plus negative 4x minus 5 over x minus 5. Now we got same denominators, so we can just add across. Since we're adding, we don't have to do anything to the second term, so it's just x squared minus 4x minus 5. Then we need to simplify. Can't simplify the denominator, but we can simplify the top, hopefully. So what two numbers multiply gets you negative 5, adds gets you negative 4. That's negative 5 and positive 1. Right? Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 1, negative 4. Which means that we can cancel these x plus minus 5s on the top and bottom. And what we're left with, x plus 1. All right. Last section. Last one, and then we'll move on. We'll be done with this lesson. All right. So again, we don't have the same denominator, right? We can actually rearrange it to be in the same order. So we have negative x squared plus 4x plus 3, right? The negative needs to stay with the x squared, and 3 was positive. So we can definitely see that these are not the same, but all of these signs are just literally the exact opposite. And that's what it means by opposite. So we just multiply. We can multiply the second term by negative 1 over negative 1. So the first term doesn't change. So we can distribute that negative 1. So we get negative 3x plus x squared over, then we can distribute that negative 1 on the bottom. So positive x squared minus 4x minus 3. So we got common denominators, so now we can subtract. So remember, when we subtract, we have to flip the signs of the second numerator. So positive, negative. So 5x minus x squared plus 3x minus x squared over x squared minus 4x minus 3. Or again, if you want to do it the other way that we were doing, right? 5x minus x squared minus, and then you just put the parentheses, negative 3x plus x squared, right? If you want to do it that way, that's totally okay. And then just know that that's a negative 1 in front, then distribute the negative 1, you end up with the same answer, right? So that can be another way to do it. All right. So combining the x squares, we see that we have negative 2x squared. Combining the x's, we see that we have plus 8x over x squared minus 4x minus 3. Then we got a factor. So for the top, we can see that there's a negative 2x in common with both terms. So we can take out a negative 2x, and we're left with x minus 4. For the bottom, what two numbers multiplied gets you negative 3, adds gets you negative 4. Well, that's negative 3 and negative 1, right? Negative 3 times negative 3. Oh, nope, I lied. That's not it. So what two numbers multiplied gets you negative 3, adds gets you negative 4. So we got, yeah, negative 3, because negative 3 and 3, right? If you add those two numbers together, they'll give you positive 2. And then 1 and negative 3 will get you negative 2. So nothing. So the bottom actually doesn't simplify. Which means that we can see there is nothing in common with the top and the bottom. So that is as simplified as it goes. That's our final answer. All right. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we are done with this video.